Listen, I feel like that as someone currently living in the 70s, there's no excuse as to why you did not regard this woman with suspicion. This is the era of Ted Bundy, Son of Sam, the People's Temple, the Manson family, etc. Why is it that your first thought upon seeing this woman sitting alone in a dark park is, I want to put my dick in that?
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up! Stand up!
That woman could have been some outlast cannibal who could have tased you, stabbed you up, called in her cannibal friends who would have dragged you into their car and drove off before Snow and Cowboy decided to go back for you. Life could have thrown you a curveball, just like that. CLEON gets jumped, Fox gets run over, and AJAX gets turned into a sausage dinner special, Texas Chainsaw style. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, the Warriors. I feel like this is redundant because I explained the Warriors in my other video, but I guess there would be folks who didn't watch that and instead watched this first, so we're gonna go over it again. The Warriors is a 1979 action crime thriller that follows the titular warriors try to escape back to their home turf of Coney Island after they're framed for the death of an infamous old head. All the while, they have to battle different gangs wanting their blood painting the streets. Because it's the 70s. Listen, I'm not a history buff, but I love learning about stuff from the 70s because for whatever reason, it stands out as a decade where the US had no chill, which says a lot because it's the United States and we generally just don't know the meaning of chill. That's kind of our strong suit. So for this video, I wanted to do something a little different. Of course, we'll cover the characters, but I also wanted to add in the other gangs. Individually, I can't really say much on characters like Star or Thurman because we don't really know their personalities. As a gang, however, we can see that they have general codes of conduct and aesthetics that can match with certain clans. So for named and defined characters like Luther and Mercy, I'll cover them personally, but gangs like the Turnbulls and the LIZZIES will be covered as a gang. Also, not every gang is included, since despite being shown, we're never really given actual insight to their gang's general personality, or at least to a point where I can sort them proper. These are all gonna be my opinions, so feel free to tell me which clan you think fits them the best. Don't worry if you're not familiar, I'll leave a link to the clan verbs thingy and you can figure it out from there. Actually, why haven't I been doing that for all the other videos?
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
I have no doubt that CLEON would be a BRUJAH. He just radiates that energy. He has some vibes of idealism, but he can always back it up. Like, there's no doubt that his leadership put the Warriors on the map to begin with. Mix the world of darkness in with the world of the Warriors, and I can see CLEON get an embrace during a Sabat mass embrace where they would want to throw a curveball at the New York Camarilla. I think he would immediately prove himself worthy to the New York Anarchs and run with the Destroyers and later the Warriors under that set.
You just triggered my fight or flight response. And I am a flightless bird.
So because of his demeanor, I thought maybe SWAN is a celebrity, but I think he is a BRUJAH. SWAN does give off a more contemplative but stern vibe, so I think he would fall in line with the kind of BRUJAH that relate to the clan's warrior poet origins. He reminds me of Nines, but a more quiet and reserved version that's not keen on being a leader unless he has to. I can see him being stalked by a BRUJAH and turned after his sires somehow wormed their way into his life, thinking he'd be perfect for the clan of rebels.
Hi, I'm a slut. Do what I want, I don't give a fuck.
I mostly consider VERMIN a RAVNOS when it comes to his negligence for his own safety, specifically when it concerns the LIZZIES. Dude, you've been fighting gangs all night. The moment you found out these chicks were a gang, you should have been on guard. I would say there's an issue since RAVNOS are cursed to wander, but not every RAVNOS is the same, and there's always gonna be some that manage to fly under the radar of their bane. Much like CLEON, I can see VERMIN getting wrapped up in a mass embrace, but aligning himself with the Anarchs. In general, I can see a lot of the gangs being with the Anarchs.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso.
I know it's typical to put an artist in a Toreador clan, but I definitely see it for Rembrandt, specifically because of how soft he comes off. Put together with him being an artist, I can definitely see a Toreador fixating on him and embracing him, but then getting over him really fast afterwards. He could end up with the Anarchs, which would lead him getting jumped into the Warriors. He'd definitely be using celerity a lot because my baby is not a fighter.
Hi, I'm a giant whore.
It should come as no surprise, but AJAX is a BRUJAH. Definitely checking off that iconoclast section of them. He's not really damsel, skelter, jack, or nines, but his penchant for aggression is not sadistic enough to run with the Sabbat. If a rant or a rave turns into a brawl, you can guarantee that he's somewhere in there. And he probably started it.
Look at, bro, Snow is such a demon, bro. He's fighting actual ghouls and goblins and ghosts.
I think the combination of him knowing how to handle himself as well as keeping to himself, even if he's in a group, he'd probably draw the attention of a gangrel. With also considering how some gangrels sire their future child, Snow is definitely putting up a fight during the whole thing, which is what the gangrel wants. After Embrace, he would still keep to himself while running with the Anarchs, specifically with the Warriors, obviously.
Yeah, get into it.
COCHISE definitely has the vibes of a flower child turned Toreador, though I don't see a mass embrace type of thing happening with him. This is kind of a floozy that I can see him easily getting seduced by some Toreador hanging out at a club. Kind of like Rem, he'd be a quick fixation that gets left behind by his sire. Funnily enough, because of how the Warriors try so hard to display their manliness, I can see them not wanting to accept any Toreador vampires because of their reputation for being pretty and self-worshipping, but COCHISE's acceptance into the group would change that.
I'm sitting on a bad boy piece of information. Do you understand? A bad boy piece of fucking information.
This one is one of the easy ones. Fox's scouting talent and street smarts would quickly catch the attention of the New York sewer rats. I think he would get embraced by a NOSFERATU in bed with the Camarilla, but I think he would run with the Anarchs. But with the NOSFERATU having this clan over set type ideology, it wouldn't really be too much of a thing for him to set cop, I think. If he didn't like getting clowned before for how scrawny he is, then he's definitely not going to be cool with the jokes after getting embraced.
I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on?
Embraces can come in all types of shapes and sizes and circumstances, and when it comes to Cowboy, given his friendship with SWAN, I think SWAN would be the one to embrace him. While we don't get a lot of info on what their time was like in the Destroyers, it still spells out that SWAN and Cowboy stick together no matter what. So SWAN getting embraced, he would not want to leave Cowboy to be human in this lifestyle, so he would either make him a ghoul or sire him.
I feel like I'm dead. I'm alive, but I'm dead.
Mercy is pretty much in the same boat as Vermin when it comes to reasoning. Because she lives every day like it's her last, I think she would fit the RAVNOS just fine. I can't really decide if she's a mass embrace victim or not. There's also her tendencies to cause trouble and head into danger just for the thrill of it.
I really miss my nigga.
CYRUS would definitely be one of the reasons why so many of the gangs fall under the Anarch banner. Maybe he's embraced some time ago and most recently started seeing the potential for all of the chaos happening in New York. He's an Anarch figure that a lot of Camarilla would feel nervous about just because of how many other kindred he has under his belt. He's a strong idealist that's not going away, and if anything, his desire to take on corrupted institutions will be stronger because then he would understand just how bad it is in the world of darkness AU of the Warriors.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Kinda like SWAN and Cowboy, MASAI would most likely be the child of CYRUS in this AU. He would essentially be CYRUS' sword whenever he needs someone struck down. Like, I don't know if Barons have an equivalent to a Camarilla sheriff, but MASAI would be on that level. And if something should happen to CYRUS, much like in the movie, MASAI is going to go off. And the rifts would have some BANU HAQIM levels of order and killing intent.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions, what's up?
There are a few clans that can embody chaos in many different ways, so it really just came down to what is Luther's chaos? So I went with the Ministry. Luther is a corruptor, not in a cult leader way, but like I said in my other Warriors video, more of a Joker way. He causes chaos and destruction just so he can see people scattering about in the aftermath. In terms of major factions, I don't really know where he would fit best. I think it all comes down to that night. There's always infighting within the sect, so if Luther is an anarch, he could easily just want to take Cyrus out because it's not the vibes. If he's a Cammy instigator, it would go along with the theory that the person he's talking to throughout the movie is some sort of high-ranking cop. If he's Sabat, he could easily just be lighting the flame of chaos and destabilization for another attempt to take over part of the city. Regardless, he's an agent of chaos. Okay, so there's not a lot we know about Ash, and what we do know gives him BRUJAH vibes. Especially a just embraced BRUJAH. He's very excited to prove himself in the society of the Anarchs, and especially the Warriors. Much like the game, Vermin would mostly take charge of reaming him and would have a closer bond with him. Maybe even covering for him if he fucked up when it came to the masquerade.
What you talking about, Willis?
Sure, the VENTRUE are a bunch of pompous assholes that give off prim and proper vibes, but not all of them go that route aesthetically. Just like not all of them become members of the Camarilla. There are plenty of VENTRUEs who make their homes within the Anarchs, and even the Sabat, which is how Virgil would become a VENTRUE. I think he would also be a victim of a mass embrace, probably the same one CLEON was in. I figured that CLEON and Virgil would already have been friends and would probably be together during this, thinking of their plan to start the Destroyers. Virgil's paranoia would fall into the worst of the VENTRUE, aka LaCroix. I also think his blood preference would be well sedated when it comes to the Destroyers, as many of the Destroyers are addicts, and he would develop a taste for their blood only, keeping them doped up just right.
Material girl. I want Chanel 9 boots. Saw these niggas steady jocking cause they know I'm the truth.
Is this really a surprise? Many of the hi-hats would be Toreadors, and the few that aren't would probably be put through the ringer because Toreadors are self-centered as hell. I mean, did you see Chatterbox's museum?
I don't know when y'all. You better stop! Bitch, stop!
Okay, this one's kind of cheating because I said that the Thin Bloods and the Kaitif would not be included in the series, but I'm making an exception for the Orphans because I really don't see a clan that fits them well except for the Thin Bloods, and it even goes with their name. Most sires, when they realize that their children are Thin Blood, will either kill them or abandon them, depending on how they view them. Some take them in, but with the Orphans, that's clearly not the case. It plays into just how unremarkable they are when it comes to the other gangs, even having to resort to lying about their victories to the DJ. Honestly, that was such a dumb plan because every gang listens to that radio show. Why would they not come to the conclusion that the Warriors would hear about it? They were not thinking with that one.
Here we go, lesbians. Here we go, lesbians. Come on. Oh, let's go, lesbians. Oh my God, lesbians.
I have no doubt that the reason the Lizzies were formed was as a means of protection for women under all types of marginalized spectrums to be able to defend themselves in a world as lawless as the world in the Warriors, where disrespecting women is a sign of being a man. So like real life, basically. And I fucking love girl gangs. So with that being said, I think the Lizzies are gangrels. Of course, most kindred associate gangrels and shapeshifting with animals, but with the Lizzies, it would be more of a shapeshift into a gang that just wants to vibe, luring people into their doom. All I have to say is, good for them.
I'm feeling the effects of masculinity right now. I feel the testosterone. I want to go to war! I want a lightsaber!
These guys are BRUJAHs. What do you want me to say?
So the party was going great.
I guess in reality, we don't know much about him, and they're kind of just featured in one of the origin missions. And what we get is very Toreador. They essentially control a club scene when it comes to Harlem and mingle with a lot of party people. That's the Toreadors down to a stereotype right there.
It became personal with me.
Mostly because of how they refer to each other as a family, which, yeah, that's pretty common for a lot of the gangs. Even in the novels, the Dominators designed their hierarchy to resemble more of a family, but they just have the gangrel vibe, especially with them being territorial and how wild they're willing to let the fights get. Because why are you trying to beat me to death with a toilet, dude?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
So when it comes to the Camarilla and their relationship with the Anarchs, At least at the start of the Modern Knights, many camis view Kindred joining the Anarchs as a teenage rebellion type deal, something where they can lose their green, but once they're mature enough, they'll join the Camarilla as proper members, which is what I see from the Jones Street Boys. Basically a bunch of rich kids playing gang members with the advantage of just having access to funds. The Jones Street Boys will be true blue ventrues running around with the Anarch as a way to prove to their sires that they have the means to run shit.
That's not supposed to. I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
They're also BRUJAHS. What else do you want me to say? Those are fucking BRUJAHS, dude.
Nobody asked.
I'm not gonna lie, the Furies definitely give me BANU HAQIM vibes. The way they don't really talk and their brutality, they come off as silent assassins, and given their whole baseball motif, they probably keep themselves modeled after baseball players. Maybe keeping up with the same regimen and everything. Alright. And that's my warrior hyperfixation done for now. Sometime in the future, I will finish the book and maybe talk about it. But for now, this clan sorting series is going back to schedule, which means the next clan sorting will be Until Dawn. What's after that? I don't know. In the meantime, I've been Miss Hexley, and they're all gay.